Hey everyone, Kid with Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with the long-awaited update, basically, on that big estate sale that I did. This estate sale was back on October. The first day I went there was on the 6th, and then I returned later on the 11th. And I've heard a lot of you guys ask questions. I've had you guys ask some different questions about the sale, about the books I've had. You guys have asked for different pictures of the books, stuff like that, and I'm sorry I haven't done that sooner. I honestly wanted to wait a little bit until I could do this video this way, how I'm doing it right now. With that said, though, I will be going over, first off, the photos that I took. I didn't take any photos inside the house. I don't like doing that unless I have like explicit permission, but you guys saw in another video where I went through the pictures of that really quick. The estate sale that I did this in was out in a town called Sandy, which for where I am now is that away roughly. So this estate sale, guys, it was I want to say a 20-acre property. It had a good sized home. You could tell the people had enough money, more than enough money for what they needed and what they loved collecting. And one of the things they loved collecting was books, which worked very well for me. The other great thing about this is because this was out in Sandy, it was far enough away from the Portland area that all the Portland booksellers didn't go out there that far. As I've said in other videos, guys, where I live in Gresham, which is on the outskirts of Portland. Something I've joked about quite a few times is we hated Portland first. All the rest of you and the rest of the nation might crack Portland jokes, but we did it first. We are the OGs here. We didn't like Portland first, so that's ours. You can't claim that. But that's sort of a joke, sort of not. But something about Portlanders is a lot of them, they're too snobby to drive out to Gresham because Gresham's the dark side of the land. They don't want to come out here. It's terrible. Da-da-da-da-da. It's actually better than Portland, but whatever. But they don't like coming out here, and not only because they don't like the area, they don't like the people, whatever their reason is, it's also enough of a drive that they don't want to do the drive. Yeah, they'll drive miles and miles to go to the other fancier, richer parts of Oregon, but they won't go to Gresham and the other areas. So because of that, I end up being able to make out in a big way because I don't have to fight off all these other booksellers. I don't have to fight to get access to all these different books. In addition to that, a lot of the times, not in this case, but a lot of the times, I'm able to get a whole lot better prices on these books. The reason why I didn't get a great price on all these books at this sale was because the company that did this was actually more of a so there's a river going through my side of Oregon, the Willamette Valley. It's the Willamette River, and you have the east side, the west side. The east side, that's what Gresham is on. They say it's the poorer side. The west side is where the richer people go. And this was a west side estate sale company. They were used to the more expensive things, the richer people shopping there, all that sort of stuff. East side places were used to spending like $1 a book, $2 per book. These people, since they were used to doing west side, were asking $5 per book. So with that said, I was not able to make as much money as I could have, but at the end of the day, I still will definitely be making out on what I paid, and I will be going over those numbers. I have them on a sticky note here. I'll be going over all those numbers on how much I made, all those sorts of things shortly later on in this video. But with all that said, back to the house, the Sandy thing. How many books were there? I don't think I addressed that yet. So there were a ton and a half of books, guys. So many books that I actually had to take 2 trips. And I drive a pickup truck, which you guys will see in one of the photos. You won't see the license plate, though. Cough, cough. I am shady and I'm cagey. I don't like releasing all the info in the world. But you guys will see that I took my pickup truck. I loaded it up pretty heavily. Of course, I didn't get to load up my entire bed. I had stuff in the back, mining materials for my gold mine. But I loaded a ton of books into my truck. Actually, I would say actual numbers here, probably a couple tons of books, like probably over 4,000 pounds worth. It was a lot of books. Maybe not over 4,000 pounds. Maybe just a ton, but quite a few books. But actually, let me just think. The average book that I've listed so far weighs about 3 pounds. And I bought over 1,000 books, so almost 2 tons of books. Just rough math there. That's interesting. I didn't actually think about that until just now. But with that said, though, guys, I got a lot of books, but I didn't even get all the books they had. Part of me wants to say I didn't even touch half of, well, I touched them, but I didn't even buy half of what they had. I would say I probably ended up getting like a third on the high end of what they had, maybe more like a quarter of all the books that were at this sale. And again, you guys just heard me say I got like a little over 1,000 books. So a little over 1,000 books, and not even touching that many. I mean, there probably were at least 4,000 books at the sale, so it was a very, very large sale. This was all technically two people's private collection, but a husband and a wife, their books that they've had over the years. I've said it in other videos, guys, something that I really enjoyed about the sale, and something that I enjoy about estate sales in general, is you just get to see someone's life story in the books that they buy. So this person, you literally had books that their grandmother and mother gave them as a child, so we're talking the early 1900s, and then this guy, he went off to fight in World War II, so you had the World War II training manuals, like that they gave him for training in World War II, so you could tell like what he did in the military, all that sort of stuff. And then right after World War II was over, you got his college textbooks. He went into engineering, and it was really cool seeing that. And then from there, he continued buying these engineering books throughout the years to stay on top of his industry, buying all the different autobiographies because he wanted to improve himself, and then he would buy a couple of these more frivolous things that are more hobby sort of books, and then his wife, throughout all these years as well, his wife had all these different books that are the things that interested her, and it was really cool being able to see multiple lifetimes worth of books just for these two people. And these people, they had kids, so some of the books that they had at the sale were actually books that they bought their kids, that their kids just didn't take along with them when they flew the coop, which it was really cool being able to see not only their books from their lifetime, but ones that their grandmothers and mothers gave them, even ones that their grandmothers and mothers had. It was just cool to be able to see generations of books all in one house. I mean, that's just something I've always enjoyed about these estate sales. It's fun seeing someone's entire life. It's sort of sad. It's like, oh, they're gone now. Sad. And that's why I love the living estate sales more. You get to talk to the people, to hear their stories even more. But it's interesting what you can ascertain about someone's life just from the books they have and the notes that they write and all those sorts of things. And those are things that you just pick up at these estate sales for pennies on the dollar. And it's really sad that that's all someone's life gets reduced to. Like, I know we're getting philosophical here, but it's definitely interesting, the stuff that you can pick up from that. But with all that said and done, again, guys, I got the numbers for you here, but first things first, I'm going to show you guys the photos of what I have from this sale. So, again, I did this sale in 2 different days. The first day, they made me pay $5 a piece, and I didn't buy a whole lot of books because it was $5 a piece, because I do not like spending that much per book. For me, as I've said in other videos, I like to spend $2 and less. My average lately has been more like $1, which is very nice for me. The reason why I've been able to buy cheaper books is because I changed my business model towards the more easy sale books that are lower end, but again, they're easy to sell, so I'm able to keep my revenues up, which keeps my profits up, because the high-end collectible books, with the recession that's going on, or depression, whatever you want to call it, with that going on, my collectible sales have just plummeted. It's been quite a while since I've sold a book that's over a few $100s. By and large, the most expensive book that I've been selling the last couple months, maybe 6 months or so, by and large, the average, I'd say, for the better ones is between $40 and about $80, somewhere in there, which, guys, if you guys have been following for a long time, you know that that is not what I am personally used to in my business. In my business, I am used to having my average sales price be like $75. So having my average for the good books be at that or even below than that, that's really sad. So the reason for that, again, guys, is because I sort of pivoted into the cheaper books, but in addition to that, the higher end collectible books that I do have, they're just not moving like they used to, because people are battening down the hatches. I know you are seeing all these different reports on out there that are like, everyone spent more money than usual. Pro tip, if you actually take the numbers that they said that it increased and then you subtract inflation, you actually see that there's a decrease in sales. And yeah, I know that seems like an obvious thing that people would do, but they don't actually do when they are making these things, when they're making these reports. It sort of gives you a little bit of hopium, when in reality what you need is a little good old check of reality to knock down some of that hopium high. And I'm not saying opium, I'm saying hope-ium, like H-O-P-E, because that's sort of a joke that people say when you are just selling false hope to someone just to get them excited, to get them to do something. It's hopium. So that's something that I personally believe is happening. It's something that you see happen quite quite a lot. And before anyone says, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, the government never lies, I'd just like to say before 2008 happened, the chairman of the Federal Reserve went out and said there is no bubble, or if there's a bubble, it's contained, They said that there was no chance of recession. And then once it happened and he was confronted and asked, why'd you say that? Were you that wrong? And the guy out and said, I lied. Not word for word, but he basically said, I lied in order to maintain the peace, to make sure no one freaked out, to make sure that the public didn't go crazy. The government lies all the time. Is it for bad reasons? Is it for good reasons? That's up to you. We all have our own opinions, not getting into that. But at the end of the day, the data, you're provided enough data. Again, the data can be lies or not lies, however you want to see it. But the data that we have shows that there is a decline. So if you guys want to argue with me, those are the facts. And in addition to that, we have the facts from my own business of my collectible sales have fallen. Let's say a year ago, I was able to charge $500 for a book. Right now, I might be asking $300, and it might sell. Sure, I do have some of these more expensive books sell from time to time, but by and large, I'm getting like lowball offers, which I end up accepting because of my profit margins, that sort of stuff. But with all that said, though, guys, that's just what I'm sort of seeing. So with that said, though, back onto the photo. So as you guys can see here in this first photo, right here, you got my truck. It's the color I'm told is called Old Man Tan, which I love. I guess the reason why old people love it, or old men at least, in the country, is you don't have to wash it, and I can attest to that. I washed it when I bought it. I put a nice layer of wax on it, and I have not washed it since. It looks great. The only thing I need to wash is the windshield and the back window, basically, and occasionally side windows, but besides that, not really important. But as you guys can see here, I got a few boxes of books, a few bags of books. That's a welding mask on top of one of the books. I was like, ooh, I could use that one because I do some welding. It wasn't the best mask, but I thought it would work for what I need. So with that said, though, guys, in the foreground, you can see the Time Life Old West set series. This person, they didn't have a complete set of those. They had quite a few repeat copies of a few of them, many of which are right here. But I was able to get them for $2 a piece. I usually like spending less than that for these particular books because they're not worth a ton, but I do find that they can sell pretty easy cheesy. So when I bought these, I was actually able to round out one of the sets that I have. So I basically stockpile these in order to, and these are the Time Life books, if you guys didn't know. I basically like to stockpile these until I have a complete set, and then I list that complete set. I do have those available on my store separately, but those don't sell very often on their own. I find if I want to sell them, I have to sell them as a lot of, say, 5 books or a complete set or something like that, somewhere in between the build your own lot, that sort of stuff, buy them all separate. Just doesn't do as well for me, so that's my own experience. Next to it, you have another set of books. I have those just down there. I'm not going to grab them, though. Just some children's books. I've sold one set of them. I ended up making this into 3 different sets because they had, again, repeat copies. I sold one set. I'm holding on to the others still. We'll see when those sell. But you also have some bags here. You have a box here, some other things, which we will see in the next photo. So the next photo, it's just me looking in through my passenger side window. You can see some of the books that I did. These books here, guys, in the background, those were very good ones. I enjoyed those. I don't think I've sold those yet, but they will be worth a good chunk. There's another photo of it, guys. And again, I'm just going to be showing you guys these photos and talk about these photos as I go through. The box that is underneath this white box, this one here that looks torn up and has water damage. Yeah, it had water damage. I'll go over that later on in this video. It's quite devastating what the water damage did to the books inside, because the books inside, guys, were beautiful. I haven't looked up these particular books that had the water damage for comps just yet. I need to, but I haven't just yet because I've been busy. I haven't listed all the books yet, guys. I've listed about 300 books, and again, I've bought about 1,000 from this place. It's just been so many books. I've been flooded with books that I just haven't gotten the chance to list. So with that said, oops, I just messed something up. With that said, we have the last photo here, just another photo of the same books. I had some books in the back seat as well, but I just couldn't get a photo of those very easily because I was a little distracted doing all the other things, paying for the books, all that sort of stuff. Guys, what I paid for these books was a little over $1,000, just barely above it, I believe. I want to say on the high end, $1,200, but I think it was around $1,000. And that was for this and for the second time that I went there. For the first time, I want to say I spent over $400. I don't remember the exact number. I have it on receipts over there. Guys, when you're running your business, save all your receipts no matter what, and then file them away. Do not throw them away at the end of the year. File them away for a few years. So this is for tax purposes. You don't know when the IRS is going to audit you. Eventually, I'm sure they're going to audit everyone, but you never know. So be sure that you have all the data you have, all the hard evidence that you have of all your different expenses. For me, one of my expenses is what I pay for these books. So I have those receipts. And even a written receipt counts for something. It's not as good as a printed receipt, but it counts for something. And you guys want everything going for you when an audit happens, because at the end of the day, if you don't get it, you can get in trouble. You can have to pay more. You can go to jail. I don't know. What they ended up getting Al Capone for was tax evasion. So you guys don't want to be like Al Capone. Don't go to Alcatraz, that sort of stuff. So with that said, though, guys, I like to save my receipts. Again, I have them over there. I looked it up the other day of how far back the IRS normally looks to do audits. And I think I remember saying 3 years, not tax advice, anything like that. But for me, I was interested to see about how long that they normally look, because it's like, oh, okay, so about 3 years, so that means the first 2 years of my business they probably won't audit. Doesn't mean I'm throwing away any of that stuff, but it's like, oh, that's just interesting sort of mind game to play with. I like thinking about those things, just to think about, okay, what information should I try to keep current in my head in case an audit happens. It's like, okay, I only have to worry about 3 years. The rest of it can be just filed away, which for me is nice because I bounce around too many things in my head all the time. I got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff to remember, so it's like nice to be like, okay, I don't need to do that. But again, not tax advice. I saw in the same thing that they do audit further back as well, but that's just that. Again, not tax advice. Do not do taxes based on that. Do not cheat on taxes and hope you don't get caught for 3 years. Any of that, that's just something that I saw. So again, guys, that's just that. So with that said, on to the next photo. So if you guys remember that box that I said that had the water damage, here is that box, guys. So see the black stuff on the bottom of this box, and here's another photo of the same box. There's me pointing at it, and here is one more photo of that. That's me picking off a piece of that black stuff. If you see, there is some gold coloring on that. And why is there gold color on this black stuff? That's because that black stuff is the spine of one of the books. So a lot of these books had their spines all sorts of damaged. One of them had it ripped off completely, and I was able to peel off enough of it that it's still there. Another one I was able to peel off part of it, and then the last one, it was stuck like everything, and I ended up throwing it away with the box because I could not retrieve the last of this. It had become one with the box. It was very sad to see this because this was a beautiful set of Abraham Lincoln books. I haven't listed it yet, guys, as I already said, but this set of books, guys, it is beautiful, even with the damage that it has. So it's sad to see it missing spines on several of these books, but I still expect to probably get definitely my money back, but probably at least $50 for the set of, I want to say it's 11 books, something like that. Might be as high as 100 or more. I honestly don't know based on condition or anything like that, because I have not come across this set or anything like this set before. So with that said, that's those books. That was just me as I was going through everything. When I bought all these books, guys, the estate sale that I bought them from, according to the people running the estate sale, the house had been vacant for a little while. And when houses are vacant, or when the owners aren't able to maintain the house as well as they ought to, rats move in, mice move in, all sorts of pests, all sorts of water damage. So this happened because of water damage. However, in addition to the water damage, there was a huge mouse and rat problem in the house based on the smell alone. I did not visually see a whole lot of damage caused by the rats and mice, which you'll oftentimes see in those things love destroying books. Luckily, I only had one book that was damaged by mice and rats that I could see. When you have damage from those things, it can be water damage from them peeing on it, gross, poop damage, that sort of stuff. But it can also be what I find personally, what I normally find is they chew these books up, rip them apart, and make them into nests, that sort of stuff. That's what I normally see with this damage. I didn't see much of that. I only saw one book that even had a hint of that, which was nice. But the smell of rat pee was very, very prevalent in all the different things that I bought. So when I was buying these books, I made sure that the books were not visibly peed on and whatnot, because there's diseases and whatnot with that. But just smell alone, yeah, it's not preferred, but it is something that you can definitely overcome. There are a lot of ways that you can get rid of smell with. For me, I basically just put all these books, I spread them out as best as I could, and then I just murdered them with ozone for a couple of days, actually. So I had a room, I had an ozone generator, and I just bathed them with ozone. I'd go in, move the books around a few times, making sure that all their different surfaces got exposed to ozone, and I basically just let it happen. I let them have it, and I murdered all the different rat pee smell that I could. And after the first day, guys, I found that just airing the books out and having the ozone going did get rid of like 99.9999999% of the smell. I don't smell it at all personally, but I'm sure if you got like a schnauzer or some dog that's made for smelling stuff, they could probably smell it. But for me and for everyone else, no one can smell it. With that said, something else that you do have to worry about with that is ozone is not the best thing in the world. You shouldn't be breathing it in. Technically, it does damage the book because ozone is so reactive, but what I find personally is it does more damage to the bad smells than it does the actual book. Of course, that's not saying that I would store a book in a canister of ozone for life, but I would, if I had it covered in rat pee, well, not covered in rat pee, smelling like rat pee, I would treat it with ozone. That's what I do. Other people swear by baking soda. Other people buy all these other things. For me, I love ozone. It's something I can easily access, and it's basically free. All I have to do is pay for the electricity because I already have the ozone generator. If you guys want an ozone generator, I'm sure there's good ones. I don't have any recommendations personally. If you do want to buy one, though, please click through, I have an affiliate link list down below. If you guys click through that and then look it up, I can actually get paid for that from Amazon, so I'd appreciate that. I do need some money for this channel. I'm not monetized yet. I said in another video not too long ago that I've made maybe $8, but I think $3 off this channel for over the whole year that I've been doing it, so I could definitely dig a little bit more money than that because I put a lot of effort into this. But with that said, though, guys, ozone generators, I love them. You can I just looked them up not too long ago for my dad because he needed to purchase another ozone generator, and I was like, it looks like you can get them for between $50 and $100, a good one. Of course, there are better ones that are more than that, but it's nice to know that they are not insanely expensive for the benefits that they provide, because again, guys, I find personally nothing murders the smell in old books like ozone. The whole thing about baking soda, some of the things that baking soda does, it sticks to stuff and it just leaves a gritty, sandy feeling on things. I don't like that. I said in another video not too long ago that I don't recommend doing that because I ran a test with that and it has been a mess to deal with. And yes, it's worth it in the end because I really wanted to do the test, but at the end of the day, I think the test damaged the books more than they benefited them because the smell in these books wasn't terrible to begin with. I just wanted to test it out. In fact, the test was only on mass market paperbacks. Don't worry, guys, I didn't ruin any antiques, but it is definitely something that I don't want to use again. In addition to that, the reason why it sort of gets stuck to the books and whatnot is because baking soda attracts moisture. It pulls moisture out of the air. So in addition to caking onto the books, there's also the damage that there's also the chance that it might damage the books by drawing moisture out of some of the covers, like leather covers. Leather and other things like that, it needs a certain amount of moisture in it to remain supple, moving, bendable, that sort of stuff, so you can open the book without it cracking off. I know it sounds a little extreme to say that can happen, but guys, when humidity is low enough, when the moisture content in something is low enough, it can and it will just break because moisture is required in things. That's why in museums they don't say have the museum have 0% humidity. They try to keep it, I want to say, around 30% for a lot of museums, somewhere in there. So that's just what I have seen, what I've heard, that sort of stuff. Not advice on how to store your books, treat your books, all that sort of stuff. That's just what I find has worked and stuff like that. So with that said, though, on to the next photo. And excuse me for a second. Here we go. So here is a photo of when I came back to this sale. So guys, this is the second trip. On the second trip, I was able to spend $1 per book, except for with cookbooks. Cookbooks, they said I could spend 50 cents a piece. And then there was a couple books that I negotiated on different prices. So they told me $1 per book for all the books. However, in the foreground here, you could see these two black books and then a red book right next to it. So the red book, and this is on the passenger seat right next to the driver's seat. The books are partially obscured by the steering wheel. So these books, guys, The black ones are on comic books. I was able to sell those for, I believe, $60. I paid $15 for them. The reason why I'm mentioning these is because they had a much higher price tag on them than the other books. So again, they told me $1 per book, but I wanted to ask about these specific books because they were asking so much more for them, and because they were obviously something special. So I want to say the blue books, they were asking, sorry, black books, not blue. They had blue tape on it. For the black books, though, they were asking, I want to say $50 for them, $60 for them, and I told them I'll pay $15 tops. They accepted that. Again, I'm sure I could have gotten them for $1 each, just not said anything, but at the end of the day, I like being as honest as I humanly can. So I ended up buying it for that, for $15. I sold it for $60. I think I was asking $80 maybe, and the person offered $60, but at the end of the day, I made out. And all these prices that I give you guys, it's that plus shipping. I don't mention that because it's just something that I take sort of as a given. Honestly, I need to start mentioning that, but all these prices that I'm throwing out are plus shipping, so the buyer pays shipping on top of these prices, so shipping is not really an expense for me. I do pay a fee out of eBay's rules. I do pay a fee off of the shipping, but it's not huge at the end of the day. So again, guys, these two black books, I sold them both together for $60, paid $15. Not a great multiple of my money, but not a bad return whatsoever. Right next to it is a red book. It's a little picture book, sort of, not picture book, photography scrapbook sort of thing, and it's about the princess and prince getting married back in the 90s. Princess Diana and Prince Harry, I believe it was. Not Prince Harry. Brain fart. Prince Charles? Yeah, I think it's Charles, the king now. I'm sorry, guys. I totally messed up there. Total brain fart. Wasn't expecting to talk about this book today. But that one they were asking, I want to say $100 for, or something like that. I ended up selling it myself for $15, and I ended up selling it myself for $25, I want to say, and I paid $15 for it. So I paid $15 for the black ones and for the red one. So $30 total for those. Besides that, all the books here are either $1 a piece or 50 cents a piece, basically. So with that said, you can see that I did quite a few bags. On the right side in the background, I think that's a bag. And then I also had boxes in my back, in the bed of my truck. And in the bed of my truck, guys, again, I had a whole bunch of gear from my gold mine in it. Because I've been doing some trips over there, doing all this testing for the soil, getting an assay on the gold, see how much gold's in there, see how I should best process when I get it going. So I have all the gold stuff in my truck a lot of the time. So with that said, though, these books here plus the truck bed, that was quite a few books. Just looking at this, I know for a fact that I've sold quite a few of these ones in the $1 trip, which I think is sort of interesting, because I think I've listed every single book almost from the when I paid $5 a piece. I still have quite a few of when I paid $1 a piece or less that I have yet to list. But I think it's interesting how many percentage-wise I've sold of the $1 a piece group as opposed to the $5 a piece group, even though the $5 a piece ones are almost all listed by now, which is just interesting to keep in mind for me. So with that said, here's the next photo. This is the back seat of my truck. As you guys can see, it is stacked with books. And you also got my backpack here, which has some stuff in it that I need for different endeavors that I do. Gold mine, all this, so that sort of thing. But quite a few books. All these bags, guys, I want to say the bags in the back seat are almost all cookbooks, but all the bags have at least 20 books in them, I'd say. So it was quite full, quite loaded, and it was sort of annoying to drive with. With that said, though, it looks like that is it for all the photos I took of all the books. I don't have anything of the back. Sorry, guys. The best you can get is probably with this photo here. You can see the back bed of my truck has the cover thing on it. I like having the cover thing. It lets me put books and whatnot in the back without them getting wet, but in addition to that, it makes it so people can't necessarily see what I have in there. Again, I like not showing stuff. I'm cagey. But with that said, though, guys, quite a few books. Again, I would say I bought over 1,000 books. I did not get an accurate count on them. I wasn't really paying attention to that when I was doing that. Of course, I can go and get a count of it because I did tally them up when I was purchasing them, but it's not something I've really kept in mind. It's not something that is a driving force for me in my business of how many books exactly did I sell this year. It's more like, what are my revenues? Did I do more books, less books? Just sort of average things, because at the end of the day, selling 2 more books this year than I did last year really doesn't matter. Now, selling 2 million books more, that does matter, but that's something that you get reflected in other aspects of your business. So with that said, though, guys, those are all the books. That's all the photos that I have for you guys on that. I want to say I took some photos of them in the house, but it just wasn't very beautiful because it was just so stuffed, just piles and piles of books. So excuse me for a second as I just flip through really quick. Like, okay, yeah, I don't see any photos of me having all the books laid out, but guys, I had so many books, it was insane. And again, I've mentioned in quite a few other videos that I still have them stacked in front of me over there. Yes, they're still stacked over there. I'm slowly ebbing away. I haven't been able to ebb away at it too much the last couple of weeks because I've been busy finishing a book and working on goldmine stuff, but it is something that I'll be getting back to. So with all that said, with us finished going through the photos, I want to go through the numbers with you guys. And before anyone logs off and says, oh, I don't want to go through numbers are important for your business, guys. If you can't run the numbers, you can't stay in business. Basically, you have to be able to know the numbers, maybe not off the top of your head, but you have to know the numbers of your business. If you intend on staying in business any amount of time, you want to know how much you need to be able to continue doing your business, that sort of stuff. So for me, guys, as I've already said, I have the books stacked up there, and because they're stacked up there, that shows that I sort of am overwhelmed on how much I can list. And because I'm sort of overwhelmed on that, I have not gone out and bought any books, or many books. I've gotten a couple, but because of that, I haven't gone out to do it because I haven't needed to do that. And in addition to that, I like buying a bunch of books and having them in sort of like a death pile, if you will, because there are ebbs and flows for me personally of good weeks and bad weeks, and good months and bad months of things available at estate sales and Friends of the Library sales, that sort of stuff. For me, I have not gone to a Friends of the Library sale in a couple months. Honestly, I should. I have not been, though, because I've just been so busy doing all the other things. But the estate sales around me, I've checked every single week. There have not been any really good estate sales by me. There's been a couple that have like, 5 good books, 10 good books maybe, but nothing that's really like, I have to go there. So because of that, I have not been, and I've just been able to work away on my death pile, which is not really a death pile for me. These books are actually ones, a lot of them are ones that I am excited to list. I just have yet to get to it because of all the other businesses that I run. So with that said, though, guys, the numbers that I'm going to be going over with you guys are just the sales that I have to date. It doesn't include every single book that I bought. There are a few that I did not include in this because they are outliers or because I just didn't feel like counting them. But what I have here is I have 63 sales according to my eBay that I recorded. 63 sales, which accounts for almost $1,600 in revenue, which is not terrible numbers. For how many books I bought, it is a little bit sad to see only 63 sold. However, I must caveat that with I have not listed most of the books that I purchased. In fact, I have listed, according to my rough estimation, about 300 books of the between 1,000 and 1,200-ish books that I purchased. So 63 sales out of about 300 books listed is actually pretty good. What I've said in other videos, guys, is that I normally sell my books within 9 months to a year, sometimes a little bit over a year, a lot of these books, so I am not at all worried about that. I've been in this business enough that I know that I sit on books. I am willing to sit on books. It's fine because, yeah, I can sell them quicker, but I like sitting on them a little bit longer to get the better value, the better cost for a lot of these books. Yes, there are some books that I will immediately sell and I'm willing to sell for a lower cost, but when I'm dealing with the lower end books, I want to sit on those a little bit longer because otherwise I just end up not making any money on them. So with that said, the lower end books that I'm talking about are like 25 bucks and under. I know I've said in other videos that I moved my price floor up to $45, and then the last few months I've mentioned that I dropped it back down. A lot of the books that I have sold from this latest estate sale, guys, are like $10. Even a couple of them are lower than $10 a piece because, again, I pivoted because I knew that these lower end books would sell a whole lot easier. And again, with the recession sort of stuff going on, with what I've seen in my own business, I really want to make sure that I have all of these books gone. I have all the revenue going that I can. I want to make sure that I have consistent sales, because the collectible books guys, they are not consistent with their sales right now. They used to be consistent. They used to be almost flat with sales almost year round, but since the recession really started coming in, since everyone started tightening their belts for the crash, which you see every single time people start tightening their belts right near the peak, and yeah, you still see some numbers of some sale figures going crazy. You're like, oh look, more people bought more toadstools and cars this year than ever before. Yes, that does happen. That happens all the time near the top. When you get to the top, people buy everything under the sun, and then it starts going down, and then people are still buying certain things, but it keeps going down, that sort of thing. I'm not really going into that in this video. I have other videos where I've talked about the economy. In fact, I'll probably make another video on the economy shortly. But while I'm talking the economy, let me just say, guys, I invest in the stock market. I've had a lot of success with that. I make multiples on my money there, just like I make multiples with my book business. I'm not interested in percent gains. I'm interested in multiples. That's just sort of how I like running my business. So with that said, I sold out most of my stock positions last year, beginning of the year, right before the crash really started happening. And last year was 2022. It's 2023 now. So I sold out a lot of my stuff then at the high. Again, I made multiples on my money. Since then, I have, as of December, I've started averaging back into some sectors of the stock market, mostly just one, not getting into that whatsoever in this video, not investment advice, not any of that. But let me just say that just because the market's going down, just because everyone's scared of some things, does not mean there's not money to be made. There's money to be made at all times, no matter what, in my opinion at least. And I think a good testament to that is the fact that so many millionaires and so many wealthy families, dynasties of families that made tons of money, started in the Great Depression, started in the 80s crashes and the 70s inflation, all that sort of stuff, started in 2008. A lot of people made all their money. So just because the economy is not good does not mean that you need to just hide it in your bunker or on your farm or on your homestead off grid, and make sure no one kills you. There is opportunities to be made. As is often said, when there's blood in the streets, that's when you buy. That's sort of what we're seeing right now, is blood in the streets. Again, not investment advice. Don't go out and buy a stock because I'm saying anything. And in fact, because I'm saying that, again, I want to underline that I'm not telling you guys what I'm investing in, because I do not want you guys doing anything because I said, but I want you guys to know that because the economy's not great does not mean you have to be scared for your life. There are good opportunities at all points in time. There's good opportunities when the stock market's going up, good opportunities when it's going down, just like there's good opportunities when the economy's going up or the economy's going down, that sort of stuff. So with that said, not investment advice, but just keep that in mind, guys. There's always hope. So with that said, though, back onto the numbers that I'm going over with you guys. 63 sales, little under $1,600 in revenue. And that came out to an average of just under $25 per book from this sale. So I do have other books from other sales that have been selling. So my average sales price has been a little bit higher, because at this specific sale, guys, I did buy a whole lot of books that were under what I like selling them for, and that was because I was not able to look these books up as I was going. I had to basically estimate all these different things, what I think they'd be worth, and I knew right off the bat when I was walking into the place that I would be selling books that were under $10. I didn't want to, but I knew there'd be some of those, and I was willing to do that, and I was happy to do that because, again, guys, I just want to have my revenues as high as I can, because increased revenues, even if I have a decreased profit margin per book, increased revenues is able to offset the decreased profit, because let's say instead of making $100 for one book, I have to sell 20 books. I have been doing that. That's what I've been doing to make sure that my profit bottom line has not been negatively affected. So with that said, about $25 per book, and after I roughly ran expenses, of course this number is not perfect, it's just a rough estimation on my expenses, I got about $17.50 profit per book, which again, guys, not the best necessarily most accurate number. It could be more than that, could be less than that. I really estimated this as best I could, but I would say about $17.50 profit is rather accurate for what I'm getting. Probably a little bit more than that, but I wanted to be, again, as conservative as I could be. And the reason why it is that is because so many of the books that I've sold were the $1 books as opposed to the $5 books. And the $5 books that I have sold have, most of them have gone for let's just say over $30, whereas the $1 books have, honestly, those $1 books have ranged between, I want to say, $7 up to $160 probably. I don't know, somewhere in there. Sorry, I didn't think about sharing that today, so I didn't have the number off the top. I interrupt this broadcast with some breaking news. Actually, it's not so breaking. So you guys know how I'm just so lucky with computers, or technology in general. So I just wanted to say, guys, I had a lot of recording done on this video. The audio stopped working halfway through the video. I don't get to see that until after it's all recorded with my current software that I'm using. Obviously, I need new software, new hardware also. But I ended up losing over an hour worth of recording. I didn't want to make this into a playlist for this entire estate sale that I'm talking to you guys about, but because I lost all that recording, I'm going to have to end up making this a playlist. I'll be addressing all the different things later on. I'm sorry that's the case. This was actually, I was very excited about this video. I was very happy with everything that happened in it, but because it got deleted because of internet happiness, I guess, it looks like I'm going to have to end up redoing all that stuff. Over an hour of recording lost, as I said, so that's no fun. Sorry that's the case, guys. Hopefully I'll have those other videos out shortly. I'm hoping to get a couple more videos out these next couple of weeks just to like sort of celebrate having a 1-year birthday of this thing. In the video part that got deleted, I believe, I did say that I do have a goal for this channel of hitting 1,000 subscribers by July. Don't know if I'll hit that for sure. I think it's a possibility. We'll see. But end of the day, it's up to you guys to see what happens with any of that. So if you guys like the video so far, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to hop on over to the next video. When that video's out, it's going to be up there in the top right. Well, top left corner. My top right. Your top left. Be sure to subscribe as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one.